Hey guys, welcome to Spencer's Garage. Today we are going to be working on my wife's 2017 Honda CR-V. It currently has 102,000, almost 103,000 miles on it. And I've created quite a few videos of this car, so if you're interested, check those out. But have been noticing in those comments a lot that I have been getting comments about how clean the engine bay is on this car. And today, well, I'm going to be showing you guys what I use, how I use it, maybe even say why I use it, because after over 20 years of detailing, my own cars and having a passion for car detailing, this is all the information combined and what I have figured out what works and what doesn't work. So in this video, finally get to show you guys how I clean an engine bay. There are various ways of cleaning an engine bay. Everybody has their opinion about this and that, but in this video, I'm going to show you how I like to clean an engine bay. So these are all the products I use as I go through the process. This is basically the beginning, and then the cleaning, and then the eventually protecting of all the plastic components and, rubbers and plastic in the engine bay to make it look really nice. That's a ceramic coating. That's a really big step whenever I clean this engine bay. It keeps it really clean. Now, also another thing I wanted to address, people had questions of how often should I clean my engine bay? Well, let me tell you, I clean the engine bay in this car just once a year, just annually. Now, in order to make this video, I am doing it a little early, actually a lot early. I usually clean the engine bay after the last frost here. Now I live in Texas, so we don't get major snow or anything like that, maybe once a year or so, but basically after the last frost, and that usually ends up being in possibly March or April. So I would say I detail the engine bay in, let's just say, April. So once a year annually, and it is currently November, so like mid-November of 2025, so it may be hard to pick up on camera, but it is quite dusty. But for 102,000 miles on it, I would say it is pretty clean in here. So, but that's mainly because I, keep up with it. I keep up with the maintenance. So anyways, I'm going to show you how I keep this engine bay so clean. So first, let's go ahead and get to the first product is my pressure washer. By the way, all of these products that I'm going to show you that I will be using, I will have Amazon affiliate links in the description. So if you want to buy this stuff or, just check it out, then, give those links in the description a look. So you don't have to use a pressure washer, but, and this one right here is only 2,000 PSI, which really isn't that much. This is an electric pressure washer. And I would say for car washing, 2,000 PSI is perfect. It's not too much, it's not too little. You can also adjust. I have a green nozzle and I have an orange nozzle. The green nozzle is always what I use on just regular car washes and, of course, engine bay, cleaning and stuff like that. I just use the green nozzle. So 2,000 PSI, this just happens to be the brand I've had this one for, I think, about 4 or 5 years, and it's been pretty good. I have replaced this hose, the high pressure hose, about 3 times already on these cheaper pressure washers. That is just kind of a known thing. I wish I had a reel for this. Maybe I need to buy one of those. But anyways, this is a good pressure washer. It's under 200 bucks. So for 200 bucks, I say it's a great one. And then with your pressure washer, you're going to want a nice stubby, or just a smaller. You don't want like the wand that sticks out like 2 or 3 feet. You definitely don't want that. This is a stubby, so you can get closer and have more control of that. So this one also right here, this end part right here rotates. So if you have like a kink or something in your hose, then, well, it will hopefully work itself out. So anyways, I'm going to hook up the pressure washer, and then we can get into the chemicals and the brushes and why I love this water bottle so much. I have had this for about 4 years, and I have tried so many brands of water bottles, and this exact one, not this one, but this one, this is the one you want. And I'll definitely have a link on this, because a lot of them, the handles break, they can't handle it. This has been dropped, I don't know, countless amount of times. I'm rough on my bottles. I do keep them clean. I rinse them after every use, but I am rough on them. And This one has held up so well, and these chemicals right here are great. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm kind of excited about this video, but let's get to it, guys. Let me go ahead and hook up that pressure washer, and then I will walk you through the process of pressure washing this engine bay. All right, guys, so one thing that I've learned after all these years of detailing, watching so many other master detailers wash engine bays, is a lot of people have questions. Should I disconnect the battery? Should I cover my alternator? Should I cover my airbox? This is my opinion on it. You should definitely cover the hole, your intake hole. Definitely do that. If you have an exposed filter, absolutely get an old shop towel, whatever, wrap it around, whatever. In this car, I'm just going to stick a towel in here, and that will be more than enough to block the water from coming in here. I'm also not going to be obviously spraying the gun right into this opening right here. That's a big no-no. Do not do that. So air intake, be careful of spraying directly in there. And for your alternator, sometimes I do like to, well, in the past I have wrapped it up in for the alternator on this car, it's all the way down here on the passenger side. It's a little hard to see, but it's on the passenger side down there. I have covered it up with like a grocery bag, just covered it up. Although on my truck, it was covered in mud and just Arkansas sand from whenever I got it. So I actually took that alternator off while I was doing work on it. I had to remove the alternator. So it was just solidly just caked with mud. I pressure washed the thing. I got all that mud off, all that sand off. It works perfectly fine. It has for a very long time. So no problem. So another thing is disconnecting the battery. Now, if you're worried about this, if you're on the fence, just disconnect the battery. It's no problem, really. I have a 10mm right here, and I am going to just loosen the negative side. Make sure you just undo the negative side. There's no need to undo both the negative and the positive, but just undo it, disconnect it from the battery, set it to the side. If I'm doing like a very thorough engine detail, I will undo the positive and fully take out the battery, clean the top of the battery, undo the battery holding tray and all that, and just take the battery completely out and clean it up. Batteries actually last longer if they're clean. I mean, I've heard that before. I don't know exactly how true it is, but I do believe if batteries are clean, they do last longer. So if you want to, take your battery completely out, clean it up. You may want to use like just some like shop towels on this, because this is acid, so be careful. Just wipe it down. Don't go crazy on it or anything, but just take some like some blue shop towels and wipe it down. So that's that. I disconnected the battery. I have power washed this engine bay. As I said, I do it annually. I had power washed it one time. I did forget to disconnect the battery. Everything was fine. I am going to dry it off. I don't have a compressor, but I do have this shop vac. I'll have a link for this in the description. I'll show you how good this thing is. But I love this. I've had this for, I want to say, over 10 years. This thing is awesome. So I do blow off all the water. I will show you guys that obviously after I clean the engine bays, but battery's disconnected. That's debatable. You guys do what you want to do, but this is how I clean the engine bay. All right, so we can put this up. My pressure washer is connected, and let me tell you here, I do have my light here, so I'll have to take that off, but the car is dirty. I have not washed it. It does have some filth on it, and it's rained and stuff like that on this car a few times, so it's not clean. Obviously, I would not wash the whole body of the car and then go to the engine bay, because you're going to get overspray all over the front of the car, the windshield, all over the front of the car. So you don't really want to do, this job last. You want to do it first. So basically, I do from top to bottom. That's the whole preface with a good car wash. You always want to go top to bottom. So what's top here? Well, the hood is top here. I don't go crazy on the hood. I'm just going to spray it down with my pressure washer with water, and then I'll drip on the engine bay. That's perfectly fine. I'll get my brushes out and I'll show you guys how I do that. So you definitely want to start with the hood first, and then we can start on all the other parts of the engine. Let's go ahead and get to that. All right, guys, what chemicals do I use to clean the engine bay? This stuff is my go-to. This is all-purpose cleaner. It's by Chemical Guys. I like their stuff. It's pretty much value priced. It's kind of middle of the range stuff, but it works well. So I like this Chemical Guys stuff. This is pH balanced and neutral. It doesn't have a smell. It's cleaning solution. It leaves no residue, lifts and suspends dirt. This stuff, it's called Nonsense Invisible Super Cleaner. This stuff works. And this, I buy it by the gallon. It's valued at that. And then I mix it about 5 to 1. You could do 10 to 1 if you want. In this bottle right here, this Chemical Guys, this 32-ounce one with the gray sprayer, this one is my absolute workhorse. These work so well. And then I needed some new brushes because I buy these about every 2 to 3 years, and these are specifically for exterior. So these are Chemical Guys as well. I think this set is about 20 bucks, and this is about 8 bucks at the moment. I forget how much these are, but anyways, you're gonna need a set of some exterior detail brushes. These ones are brand new. I'll open these up in a moment. But let me tell you, this Nonsense stuff, this is the stuff you want, guys, in a 32-ounce sprayer like this. And then, you know, about 5 to 1 mixed with water. Perfect solution right here. I have this one out here for reference. This is 50% rubbing alcohol and water, distilled water. I use this after I polish cars, but anyways, this is for reference. These clear ones are not the same. They're obviously smaller, but they are not the same quality as this 32-ounce with the gray sprayer. Not the same. These, I've already had one break right out of the, you know, shipping package, and these are nowhere near as good as this one. I'm telling you, the 32-ounce one is the one you want. Anyways, I'm gonna open these up and let's go ahead to get to spraying underneath the hood. All right, guys, so I did the hood first. I'm not going to show too much detail on that. By the way, I did put a bag over the battery. You don't want really the terminals to get wet or anything, so I am going to cover it with just like a, you know, a Target bag, a shopping bag, whatever, a couple of shop towels. Just cover your battery just so it doesn't, you know, promote corrosion growth or anything like that. So you can see I did the hood, did a good job on that. But now for the details, I'm basically just going to spray the engine bay down with the all-purpose cleaner and just use my brushes and agitate everything I possibly can in this engine bay. All right, I typically like to start in the front of the car. So the headlights, this plastic liner, I am just going to fully coat it with all of this all-purpose cleaner. I also want to do this back cowl here. I'm going to do that. So I'm basically going to do the outline of the engine bay first before I actually get to the engine component. So I'm just doing everything in front or around the engine bay first. I have already rinsed with a pressure washer all the way around. So there's that. So I'll start here at the headlights. By the way, I already have my brush primed, and all you're doing is just agitating. Now obviously your car may not be this clean to start out with, so you may need to, you know, get some maybe harder brushes or something like that, especially if you have like oil stains or something like that. If you have oil stains on your engine bay, I would recommend this Chemical Guys Orange Degreaser. Again, I'll have a link of that in the description, but since I don't have any oil leaks in this engine bay, I am just going to use the all-purpose cleaner because that is the perfect cleaner for this job. You know, just a light cleaning. It could do oil and stuff like that, but you know, on oil or grease, a degreaser is better for that job in my opinion. So, you know, if you need a degreaser, then you can use it. In fact, if you don't want to use the all-purpose cleaner, if you already have some degreaser, you know, stuff for a shop or automotive degreaser, you know, just stuff that is made for that, then go ahead and use it. All right, so I did the front here. Now, if this was a Texas summer, then I would go ahead and rinse, you know, all of this cleaner off after I did a very small bit of it, you know, just a section at a time. But since it is November, it's currently like 70 degrees out. It's gonna get colder tonight, but it's not that bad out. So since it's, you know, November and it's not scorching outside, and this cleaner will not, you know, dry so much on the surface, I am just going to, you know, it can sit there a little bit. So I'm going at this pretty quick. This is not like a show car detail that I do to this car. Again, this is just like a yearly maintenance detail. And if you do these every year and use the, you know, the ceramic products that I use, let me tell you, it really does last, and it makes a big difference. It really does. So anyways, I did the outline of the engine bay. Let's go ahead and rinse it. All right, now that we have rinsed all the way around the engine bay, now we can actually concentrate on the engine bay components. Now again, I go top to bottom. I like to do the sides first after you do all the way around. I like to do the sides, you know, the shock towers or the strut tower, in, you know, the ABS, this plastic overfill coolant tank, and then I'll go around here. I'll lightly do the fuse box. Obviously, I'm not gonna go, you know, open this up or anything, but do around that, the strut tower, and then we can actually work into the engine bay. I like to put a liberal amount of this stuff. Sometimes I like to go more than, you know, 5-to-1 ratio on this cleaner. Sometimes I'll do, you know, like 4-to-1 or maybe even 3-to-1. But it's you can use this cleaner like just by itself. Look at that dirt coming off. I don't know if, it's probably hard to pick up on camera, but I'll get you guys a good shot of what this looks like after with. But anyways, that cleaner, it does a really good job. And you know, you can dilute it to what you think, you know, your vehicle needs, how dirty it is. So as I said, this is not a like a show car engine bay. If I was doing my Acura Integra GSR 1994, then I probably would maybe take my time just a little bit more with that. But this is a 2017 CRV, and I'm doing this mainly, you know, just to get the road debris off. And sometimes they do brine the roads here in Texas. Sometimes they do, and you definitely don't want that sitting on your car. So I also do an undercarriage detail, but you know, that's a whole nother video. But anyways, this is just to get all the dirt. And also, if you actually care for your car, then you know, this is very beneficial. It's actually pretty therapeutic, if you want to say, you know what I mean? Just having a clean engine bay, especially if you are a DIYer like myself, and you know, are replacing anything in the engine or just doing maintenance, shoot, even doing oil changes or transmission fluid changes, then you know, it's something to be proud of, is a clean engine bay. So I went over this section pretty good. Let's go ahead and rinse. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is already so clean, nice and fresh. All right, now that we did this side, I'm going to come over here. I do rinse my brushes occasionally as well. Just a quick spritz with the pressure washer, and that's really all you need. So let's put that down. Here we go. Light spritz on the fuse box. Let's get this shock tower. Just kind of busting off all the dust and road grime and all of that. So yeah, this is the process. Basically just go over the engine bay with your, you know, exterior brushes. And, you know, these Chemical Guys ones, like I said, these last about 2 to 3 years. Sometimes their bristles will start to, you know, come off, and, you know, you'll see them kind of being littered in the engine bay or wherever you're detailing. These can also be used on, you know, emblems or, you know, intricate pieces or anything like that. Sometimes I use them on like exhaust tips, you know, just stuff like that. So they last a while, but you'll be able to tell whenever they're worn. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray this air box. You can see I have a towel in there. That's just a shop, what I call just microfiber towel. I get those off of Amazon as well. I buy them in bulk. They're not like the super high quality ones, or you can buy like 50 of them in a pack. If you guys want, man, these are, I love these microfiber cloths. They're pretty inexpensive for, you know, microfiber cloth. And like I said, I buy them in bulks of either like 25 or 50. Man, those are, I use those often in my garage. Let's just say that I'm big on keeping stuff clean, and you know, whether it be hardware or engine bays or whatever, or if I'm working on, you know, like my truck, I gotta cover the engine for whatever reason, and they just work. I love those towels. So again, we are just going over all these plastics. And look, this brush, it enables you, if you do this with like a towel, it's very hard to get in crevices of, you know, anything, plastic or rubber or anything like that. This brush, those bristles just go right between it. So if you have crud or, you know, road grime, whatever, it just gets right in there. And look, we're gonna shine this clamp right up. Wait until this is all rinsed and dried. I mean, this thing, if you guys haven't seen like my transmission fluid flush videos on this 2017 CR-V, man, you guys should take a minute after you're done watching this video and check that out. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel that has for each one of the cars that I make videos on. And this being my wife's car, and she is the original owner, I mean, I've made a handful of videos at least on this car now. So you guys should definitely check it out. But man, the engine bay just looks brand new, and at that point I think it has like 80-something thousand miles on it. But let me go ahead and rinse what I've done here. Okay, I don't know if you noticed or not, but whenever I was spraying this air box, I didn't spray into it. I sprayed downward. Like, I have the pressure washer like this. So it's not going directly into the air box. So, helpful hint there. By the way, guys, you do not have to have a pressure washer to do this job. You do not have to have a pressure washer. I love detailing all my vehicles, so, you know, I do have a pressure washer, and you could do this with just a regular garden hose with a nozzle on it, and I would suggest putting it on shower mode. And I have a nozzle that sometimes I use for car washes, kind of rarely, but I do have it, and I love the shower mode on it. So if you have the shower mode, go ahead and use it. But anyways, this is looking great so far. So I've done the air box, the air tubes, all of that. Let me go ahead and get my brush again, and we can continue on. Let's see here. I'm going to do the valve cover. So now I'm going to do the bulk of the engine. So I'm going to do the top part of this air box. Honda. Let's do the valve cover. I do back here, this stuff I just kind of spray with my all-purpose cleaner. You know, this will do a little bit of cleaning if you just spray it on there. I mean, you really do want to agitate it. I mean, that's going to get the best clean by agitating. Oh, look at this. I don't know if you guys can see that dirt, but it's there. Anyways, all right, so let's do this. Do the air box. So yeah, agitating it will definitely get it the most clean, the most. And my preferred method, and most detailers will tell you that the brushes are really where it's at. This is really what you want to be using. I mean, you can spray and brush really anything you want in here. I know this is a sensor clip and everything right here. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave it soaking in water. We will get to the point where I am going to, you know, get this engine bay very, very dry. And no, it is not going to be using a towel. That would be painstaking. But anyways, look, this, I'm telling you, this brake fluid reservoir right here, it's going to look like brand new. All right, so you saw me do hoses. Now, as you know, I keep this engine bay clean yearly, so I don't have a ton of grime. If your car has, like, you know, 80,000 miles, 100,000 miles on it, whatever already, and you have never cleaned the engine bay, then you probably need to spend a little bit more time on your engine detail than I am. I am going over this pretty quickly. An engine bay detail, I would say I could probably, you know, start to finish, I would say if I wasn't filming and all that, probably around 20 minutes. Maybe 15 if I'm going super quick, but about 20 minutes is a good, in my opinion, thorough engine bay. I try to just go over everything, any metal components, any hoses, plastics, you know, anything that you can see really. I mean, you can just clean it all. So this is just a daily driver, and we're getting as clean to be proud of it, and we respect the car, so we're going to keep it clean. Let's give it a rinse. By the way, guys, if you do have a pressure washer and you're buying that pressure washer, distance makes a difference. Notice green tip as well. But anyways, I'm not getting all up in here like this close to it. That would be a big no-no. I am keeping it, I want to say probably, I would say at least 2 to 3 feet from the area that I'm pressure washing. Let me show you. I would say that's a good at least 2 to 3 feet. So don't be all up on here like this. Number one, it's going to spray back and hit you in the face. But it's also not good because pressure washer, even though it is 2,000 PSI, which, you know, some gasoline ones are like 4,000, you know, plus PSI. 2,000 PSI is kind of on the low end, but that's perfectly what you want on a car wash. But you still have to be respectful of the pressure washer. Keep a distance, okay? Keep a distance. All right, guys, I have went over all of the top of the engine bay. Now, you could get down in there if you want, get your hands, that's very, very tight down there. You could if you want, but you're really not gonna see as much. And if this is your first time detailing, then you may wanna do that. You may wanna go all the way down deep in there. But mine is already pretty clean. As I say, I do this annually, so it's really not that bad. If you keep on it and, you know, do this at least once a year, you'll be good. And I think that's really all it needs, is just once a year for a daily driver. But anyways, I did the top of the engine, I did all these hoses, I did all this. So now that I have sprayed and agitated all the parts, the components of the engine bay that I want to, I'm now going to give it a final rinse. All right, I had to take off my light on top of the hood because, you know, I'm going to do top to bottom. So let me go ahead and just do one final rinse. Make sure you turn off your pressure washer. All right, now I have the light back on. Now it is time to dry. This is a very important step. Now, I don't have a air compressor in my garage, mainly because it is so small and I simply do not have enough room. So, but I've had this shop vac, I don't know, 10 years, around 10 years, and this thing is dependable. So it's not only just a shop vac, but if you put the hose, take it from this end and put it into this end right here, it's not a vacuum, it is now a blower. And this attachment right here, this will provide enough air to blow all of that air off. Now, if you have like a leaf blower, I do have a leaf blower up there somewhere, and that may work, but it's not as like concentrated. See how small this is? This is probably about, I don't know, a centimeter big hole right here. This is very concentrated, and it's as close to compressed air, you know, from a compressor that I could possibly replicate. So this is a 2 horsepower shop vac right here. It's small, but it's only like at the moment like less than 70 bucks. Man, this is worth it. This is dependable, and man, this thing works both for vacuuming out my cars and for doing the job I'm doing right now. If I need to blow cars down or the engine bays or whatever, get all the water off of the harnesses and all the engine components and stuff like that, man, this thing is what you want. So anyways, again, we're gonna start from top to bottom. So I'm gonna first blow down the hood, and then I will start with the engine bay. So let me go ahead and do the hood, and then I'll pick up with the video. Now, you want to do things at the top to bottom, not only because that's the logical thing to do, but also because all this stuff on top is going to spray all this water downward. So definitely start at the top. But again, I like to start on the outer edges first and then work my way to the top of the engine and then work my way down. So I'll just show you guys how this shop vac works. Side note, I'm about halfway through shop vacuuming it off. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take out this shop towel and remove this bag that I have around the battery. Try to keep it towards the engine bay, not to get on the battery terminals. You definitely don't want any water on those to create corrosion. So now that I have those removed, I can continue on with blowing this off. This is with no towels drying or anything. This is just blowing it off. You may have some drips here and there, but you got the bulk, the main majority of the water off, all the engine components. You can take a rag and just kind of dry it off a little bit, like just the top things if you want to, but if you got most of the water off, then you're good. All right, so now that the engine bay is very, very clean, look at that. It is very, very clean. So now we want to protect it and maybe dress it up just a little bit. So this is what I use for that. I have tried many different chemicals for this. I've tried, VRP from Chemical Guys. I've tried some Meguiar's products. I've tried so many. At least like 10 different products for plastic and rubber and stuff like that to dress it up in the engine bay. This is the best one I've found, and I just started using this about a year and a half ago, and I am very, very impressed with this stuff. It's ceramic coat hydro shield, vinyl rubber plastic ceramic shine coating, new look finish, no sling technology. So this is ceramic coats that will last quite a long time, and it goes on easy, and this is how I apply it. These are, again, Chemical Guys. I'm not sponsored by them, but man, I just use their stuff. I think most of their stuff is pretty good. These are called Workhorse Premium Microfiber Applicators. There they are right there. Just go ahead and coat the applicator pad. All right, so now we have our applicator pad. And you want the surface to be dry as possible. Normally I do this on a, like a drier month. Like I said, like April here in Texas is usually warm enough. So this water isn't drying as fast as it usually does for me. But like I said, this is November and I will be doing this again in April to my wife's car because, it's after winter. So I'm not too worried about it. This is just kind of like a bonus detail for my wife's car. And I'm just doing it just to show you guys, show you how I do it, the products I use, how I do it, and why I do it. So this stuff, this Hydro Shield is good for any plastics, rubber, vinyl, like I said, and I basically just go over everything. You can go over hoses, like all these rubber hoses, like coolant line hoses, or even the harness wiring. Of course, these plastics, for the air intake, this air intake box here, definitely going to get that. And go ahead and have at it. And also on this stuff, a little bit goes a long way. I guess if you haven't washed your car or the engine bay in quite a long time, it may, absorb. It may be pretty dry or something like that. Look at that. It's a little shiny right now, but it will dry. It will just basically look brand new. It just makes the car look brand new. And it pretty much restores it too. These are rubber hoses right here, and after this stuff really dries and cures in there, man, brand new, I'm telling you. But anyways, you don't have to go back and rub this stuff off. Now, you don't want to use gobs and gobs of this stuff, but there's no need. But you can just apply it with one of these Workhorse microfiber applicator pads, and it will absorb it, and that will be the end of it. It will be protected. It will look great. That's all you got to do. So let me go ahead and go over this engine bay, and I'll give you some after shots. Oh, but man, it really makes a difference on these coolant hoses too. And you wouldn't think so, but whenever these coolant hoses get some dressing on them, be sure to get the underside as well. They just, man, all these hoses and everything, these new cars, they have tons of hoses and stuff going everywhere. And man, it makes a difference. It really does. If you only want to just power wash your engine bay just to get all the grime off, that's perfectly fine. But if you really want it to stand out and be protected, and also if you use this ceramic spray, it will make the engine bay look cleaner longer. Imagine that. So after I go over this engine bay with this ceramic coat, I will, then I'll be done, but also we need to connect the battery back and then I need to wash the whole car. So, you know, I got the whole front end all wet, but I'll do a wheel detail. I'll do just a standard foam cannon wash, and that'll be that. Let me go ahead and finish this up. And don't forget these plastic pieces right here, guys. So you want to do that. By the way, if you want to do these shock towers or strut towers, you need to do like a spray wax on those if you really want to go detailing on that. And by the way, guys, I wanted to mention this cowl right here under here that goes along the windshield. Man, this looks so good if you use this ceramic spray on here. It really shines up. And let me tell you, you want to make a difference. This thing with the ceramic coat on it, all cleaned up on it, man, it's a little hard to see with my lighting right now. Maybe I'll do another one of these in April. You guys let me know if you want me to show you. Maybe the engine bay will be even dirtier then. Maybe I can make another one. But you guys let me know what you think of this detailing video, because I'm showing you my tips and tricks and what I do, how to make this car just look like brand new. Looks great. So do that. It will make a big difference. All right, guys. So another thing I want to mention is if you actually disconnect the negative battery terminal, then your car's ECU will basically be reset. This is okay. I mean, this happens whenever you get a new battery, or, you know, for whatever reason you need to disconnect the battery. It will signal that there are all these problems in your system, you know, your tire monitor, pressure system, your braking system, your VSA, all these warnings will come up. Don't worry, this is perfectly normal. All you have to do is just drive your car for, it takes this car less than 5 minutes to reset all these systems, and then it will be perfectly fine. All these warnings will go away and everything will go back to normal. So just drive for 5 minutes and you'll be good. All right, guys, I wanted to show you the after. It is the evening of. I have washed the car, the wheels are clean, the tire protectant is on, the car is looking nice and shiny. Look at that, 102,000 miles. And if I do say so myself, this thing looks pretty much brand new, and it has 102,000 miles. But anyways, I went ahead and went over some of these surfaces just with a clean microfiber cloth, just kind of shined up the headlights just a little bit, and the grill and stuff. After you wash the car, you know, there's water that gets underneath here. So I basically had to get my foam or my microfiber applicator, and I redid a few spots just to get it extra fresh and clean. And I just kind of want to give you a, you know, an after shot of all of this. Look how just brand new this thing is looking. Very nice, just OEM fresh. And all of this is not just really a dressing to make it look absolutely amazing and brand new, but with the ceramic coating, it actually is a protectant. So it will help it, it will help it last, you know, cleaner for longer. So there it is. I just wanted to give you, you know, just kind of a pan overview. So fresh and so clean. All right, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.